Alright, so this is my first time doing this. We're gonna read some stories from the Let's Not Meet subreddit. Some of them are quite scary. So we'll start with this one. This one is called "The Employee Told Me There Was a Women's Bathroom Up the Lift. There wasn't one." This happened 2 days ago, and I'm still very shaken up about it. I was with my brother and father. We were just at the immigration department in Hong Kong, I think, to sort something out for us. For further context, I'm 20, female, and I'm not a Hong Kong local. It was getting late, and my dad suggested we start taking the bus back now to eat closer to the apartment area, or most good places would be closed by then. Midway, there was a stop that my brother suggested we get off and find food. We all agreed. I started to desperately need the toilet, and so my brother pointed at the closest McDonald's we could see. Big mistake. If McDonald's is your first choice of going to the bathroom, I don't know that things will end up good for you, especially this late at night. We go in, my brother and dad are waiting downstairs. I was under the assumption that, well, if there's no toilet downstairs, then there should be one up. If not, I'll leave and find another place. I walk up the stairs and look around, somewhat pacing as I desperately need to pee. The McDonald's worker seems to have spotted me and was looking at me, almost expecting me to bother him. I asked him if there's a toilet. He said, "Toilet?" Through the door, turn left, and take a lift up. It's an ominous brown door with no signs or anything at the front. He's the worker, so I assume he knows better than me. I open it and what the F? It's very dark and run down. Completely different vibe to the modern McDonald's. It's extremely quiet. As soon as the door closed, it was almost soundproofed. All the bustling loud noises in the McDonald's had completely stopped. The room was just very dark and minimal white light. This is the point where you just say, you know what, I don't really need to go to the bathroom that bad. We'll stop somewhere else and use the bathroom there. There were multiple doors that appeared locked in the building. I didn't explore much as I thought it was maybe a staff room. I turned the left corner in as instructed, and there was indeed a lift. I assume maybe this is just a very odd passage to a shopping mall, which isn't too uncommon in Hong Kong. And surely how bad can this be if there is a lift? I press the lift and step in. Suddenly, I hear the door open and the worker that directed me goes into the lift with me as well. No, this is when you just press that button, keep the door open, and head out. I notice he's holding a black bin bag that is filled with little to nothing. I assume, oh, okay, maybe he needs to put this out and help me find the toilet. You're assuming a lot of things here, and I feel like your instincts should be telling you, get out of here. Kill two birds with one stone? No, he's just gonna kill one person with one thing. I ask him, what floor do I press? And he presses the second floor. Once the door closes, it's a bit quiet and awkward. I glance at him for a second. He was wearing a COVID face mask, one eye looking forwards, and he had a lazy eye looking to the side. Suddenly, he says, "Lang ho lang? Lang o lang?" I'm probably butchering that, which translates to, "You're very pretty," in Cantonese. At this point, it's very awkward, and I just said a quiet thank you to not aggregate him. I'm wagering if I actually need to pee this badly now. No, you don't. You either already peed yourself, or you completely forgot that you had to pee. The lift stops, finally. I was fully expecting a shopping mall when the lift doors open, but that was not the case. The doors open and it was just a dark, quiet, very run-down, narrow hallway of doors. It was so dark with infinite corners. None of this spells bathroom to me. And this guy is trying to trick you into walking somewhere you shouldn't be. Not a single person was there but us. I couldn't tell what the building was, an odd cross of abandoned apartment building doors and office doors. At this point, we're both still stood in the lift and my entire body is in a fight or flight response, as this whole situation was making me fear the worst, as your body should be telling you. The worker gestures me to get off at this lift and almost wants to continue walking me to the toilet. I quickly make an excuse of, "I've bothered you so much already from your work. You can just point out the direction and I'll find it. Promise." He points to the right and tells me to go through there, and that's the toilet. I thank him and then go to the complete opposite direction he told me. The whole place was like an effing maze. Narrow hallway with doors. I got curious and pushed at one of them and it was locked. At this point, I'm really trying to stall enough time to appear. I went to the toilet before getting the lift back down. So you're in this old abandoned place and you really need to use the bathroom. Some worker that's there, or you presume is a worker, told you to take the lift. up to a certain floor to use the bathroom. He got in the elevator with you, and now you're just trying to burn time so that he thinks you're going to the bathroom. What's the point? If you didn't take your phone with you at this point, I would look for the stairs maybe, but this is you're getting yourself in a tricky place here. I get a call from my brother now. So you do have your phone with you. A very angry call asking why I've taken so long and where I am. I explain I don't know where I am. I'm trying to find my way back. I hang up and I'm getting increasingly more scared as the place is giant. As I mentioned, like an abandoned office apartment, hallways with no signs or anything while being extremely dark with minimal light. The walls were all tear down, it's just so quiet and run down. There was no way a functioning toilet was up here. I'm really panicking now and trying to find my way back to the lift, scared. My initial discomfort of desperately needing to pee turned to desperately wanting to leave. I calmed myself down a bit and with breathing exercises and tried to recollect the steps I took. Finally, I found the lift and quickly pressed back down. As you should. I would be spamming that button as well, but there's no mention of this guy, so where did he go? The lift takes me back down to the hallway, but by accident I walk forwards instead of turning right. There are more doors, 4 to 5 doors next to each other, but what was the most strange was the fact that the doors were all facing this large glass panel wall between the McDonald's. I was able to look at the McDonald's and the people eating, but they didn't notice I was there at all. I walked back and turned right this time through the door. I was finally in the McDonald's again, but that glass wall on my end appeared to be a large mirror in the McDonald's. It was a double mirror. I looked around and there was no sight of the McDonald's workers either. So this guy just disappeared. That's what I'm getting from it. He either was not a worker there or he's in the back somewhere hiding. Did he have at least a McDonald's uniform on that you can trust that he works there? I quickly walked back down the McDonald's. I see my dad and brother. My dad asked if I was okay as I looked really pale. I said I'll tell him when we're out. I asked him if he saw the worker again when they were waiting, describing him as a man with a mask and a lazy eye. My dad shook his head and said he didn't see any worker when he checked upstairs for me earlier. My heart dropped as soon as I heard that. The worker was still up the lift. Or was he? Maybe he just left a different way. These buildings are multiple floors up. Maybe there's multiple exits out of here. My dad also said, "Don't tell me you went through that lift. I opened the door and walked through a bit to find you. It was scary. Why were there so many doors in that glass? I thought there was something wrong and I got out immediately." Bear in mind, my dad is a built man himself. He then sent my brother up to go look for me, not sure why. My brother is pretty skinny and unathletic in comparison. He opened the brown door just to see and noped the F out. He described it as looking like a big dark back rooms with the doors next to each other back to back. He did not want to walk in there to explore. I will never go to the toilets alone again, and seeing a McDonald's will forever hold this memory for me. If you're ever in a road trip and you need to stop at a bathroom, I think McDonald's should be your last at the bottom of that list, unless you're really hungry, I guess, but we have an edit here. I found out recently, apparently they devised a plan that my dad was going to go through every level through the brown door to start kicking down doors and shouting my name. He had a very bad feeling. If he wasn't back down with me within 15 minutes, my brother was instructed to call the police. My brother disagreed with the plan, suggesting it'll be best if they find all the exits and guard them now, banking on the fact that I'll be out at some point as it's unlikely they'll find me through every level in that lift and doors. I asked what would happen if I didn't come out through the exits, and he said, "At least we'll find your remains." That's morbid. Yeah, it's a very scary situation. I've definitely never been in a situation like this. Yeah, unfortunate, and I'm glad nothing happened to you. Maybe if it was just some weirdo trying to devise some sort of plan, and thankfully you got out of there. So, some comments. You mean that worker was lurking in the dark the whole time? No, that's what was horrifying, OP says. There was no way it could have been an innocent, and I'm so glad at the time I didn't know he was still up the floor with me. It would have 100% caused me to have a mental breakdown and not know how to find my way back. Rumor has it that this guy is still up there waiting for her. You're lucky your dad went to try and find you. The worker probably got spooked because of that. OP says, I think he also wasn't expecting my dumb self to go up one of those creepy looking lifts either and talked himself out of checking. Yeah, that's did you at least get some food or something to, get you a McDouble with some fries and a sweet tea? Next story. This one is called Careful What You Say at Breakfast in a Hotel. I've never had to pay attention to what I say in a hotel. especially at breakfast. When I was around 22 years old, I had a scary encounter while staying at a hotel for a job. Around 2010, I was working for a traveling photography group that took church directory photos. Each photographer drove separately from all over the place. So I was in Harlan, Iowa at the time. I was staying at a hotel along with other photographers who joined with me. I believe there was 4 of us, 2 guys, a girl, and myself. One morning I went down to breakfast and was watching the TV in the hotel breakfast area. Someone was also down there nearby, a guy. When he looked at me, I said, "Good morning," as I do wherever I go, just to be friendly. He said it back and we had just a polite exchange. Something you would do with a stranger you never thought you would see again. Makes sense. Especially if someone's looking at me and I walk down, that would say good morning. He mentioned he was staying there with his team for a construction job. I go to leave and I say something very casual like, "Have a good one, see you later." He said something like we could hang later. I didn't think anything of it and just brushed it off like, yeah, maybe. No, that's when you turn around and you could hang later and you just say, "No, I'm busy, I'm here for a job." And just don't let this go on, because if you say something like, "Yeah, maybe," I'm assuming you're a girl here and this is probably turning into a creep situation. This is when they take this as "yeah, maybe" as a yes, and now they're expecting something out of you. I don't remember if it was the same day or not, but as I didn't work until 11 a.m., we tend to work from 11 to 10 p.m., give or take, depending on the size of the church, etc. I decided to go take a nap since I didn't sleep well the night before. While laying in my room, I kept receiving phone calls to my room phone. I wasn't used to getting calls like that ever, so I just picked up. Nope, I need a red flag here, something. Why would you pick up? I would say hello, but nobody would answer. After a few times, I eventually just took the receiver off and placed it beside the phone so it would stop ringing. See, yeah, that's a good idea, but also go down to the help desk or to the lobby desk and ask, "Have you been calling my phone?" Ask the person working there, "Have you been calling my phone?" When it was time to get up and leave, I left my room and saw the guy was there in the hall. Oh, here we go. I waved casually, still not thinking anything of it. He asked where I was going and I said I had to go to work. My friend showed up, a female photographer, and I went with her to her car as I was going to ride with her to the church. I told her about getting strange phone calls and she mentioned she did as well. Oh no, so this guy is calling. Somehow he's got the number to your guys' room and he's just calling you all. Because this is the other girl, right? Yeah, she's riding with the girl. Why is he not calling the other guys? This is a creep. We got a creep in our hands. Later that night, there was a thunderstorm. My photographer group and I stood up by the hotel lobby door watching the lightning. It was thundering and extremely dark. There were chances for tornadoes, so we were keeping tabs with each other. Eventually, I go to my room for the night and I hear a knock at my door. I didn't really want to answer it. However, I did, cracking the door to see who it was. You don't have to crack the door. Does this door not have a peephole? You gotta look through the peephole first and see who it is, and that's when you can decide if you want to open it or not. You don't just crack it open because they could just Spartan kick the door and then now you're screwed. It was the guy. Surprise, surprise. He talked about how I said we could hang out and I told him I was too tired after working all day and I needed to sleep. I shut the door. I mean, yes, shut the door, but also you're giving him another excuse, right? You're letting him assume that, oh, she's too tired right now. Maybe she won't be tired later. This is when you just gotta be straight up. Look, man, we're not gonna hang out. I'm here for a job. Can you leave me alone? You gotta draw that boundary right away. Now I can't remember if this was the next morning or still night, but I recall him knocking again, but I wouldn't answer. What did I say? I pretended to either be out or sleeping. I called my mom and started talking to her. I told her what was happening, and although I was scared, I almost acted like I wasn't when speaking with her. Suddenly, I had a weird feeling. I whispered to my mom, "Mom, hold on a second. I need to check something." I tiptoe as quietly over to my room door as possible. I look out the peephole and... So there is a peephole. Why didn't you check the peephole the first time? And I see him. I then see him turn his head to my door as if he was listening for something. My heart started to race. I then saw him move to the side. You know how the wall sometimes goes in for the door, so there's like an indentation in the hallway for each room? Well, he goes to the wall away from the room that juts out. I think he thought he was hiding because he would try to lean his head around the corner of the jut out portion as if listening for something. So you mean this guy was like... Yeah, that's creepy. I walked to the farthest side of my room quietly and whispered to my mom about how I'm scared. I called the front desk to complain like my mom's suggestion. This is what you should have done. Well, first, I can't remember if I also texted my friend or called her, but she also complained to the front desk about the various phone calls she received. Eventually, we were given new rooms and the construction group manager was told by the hotel about one of his guys, and that creepy guy was told to stay away from us. I even told some of the church people about the situation and they all said if we needed to stay with him we could. All very nice, but still all strangers to me, and I didn't trust anyone at that point. I'm not sure what happened to him as I didn't see him after that. I was a little jealous of my friend because she ended up with a hot tub in her room and I didn't, but it was fine. Oh yeah, we had this creep guy stalking me and wanting to get all up in my space, but I'm upset that my friend had a hot tub. I didn't get a hot tub. You got bigger problems, lady. However, after that, I was more aware and careful with who I talked to and what I said. But see, it's nice to say, good morning, how are you? But leave it at that. This guy, he pushed and he said, maybe we can hang out sometime. Yeah, maybe. That's when you should say, no, we can't hang out. I'm here for a job. Thanks, but no thanks. I mean, I'm not a girl, so I know it's a lot different when you're actually there in person, I assume, and it's a lot harder to keep these people away and being scared just because you said one or two wrong words and they misconstrued that and took it to be as an invitation to just listen at your door. I can't imagine that, but I'm glad you're okay, and you should have reported this the first time. Some comments. Always make it clear to the staff to not forward calls to your room and to not give out your room number, which they're supposed to not give anyways, but always make it a specific request to check in all the same. Always report any creepers to front desk staff. Exactly. The moment he was creeping up on you, that's the moment you should have reported it. Other comments, how scary. Glad you told them a hotel and they moved you. What a creep. Yep. What a weirdo. Does he think you are just going to date him after behavior like a stalker? Ha! No common sense on his part. As far as your actions, you did an amazing job of reporting it and drawing attention to what had taken place. Sometimes we don't realize at first just how much potential danger we could find ourselves in. Nonetheless, you did the right thing and reported him on his supervisor, so his supervisor would probably fire him. I would say it's a fireable offense, even if you're there in the hotel and that's not your job. Working at the hotel, you're just there staying for your job. I would say it's definitely a fireable offense. So, hopefully that guy learned a lesson and stops doing what he's doing. But yeah, glad you're okay. Next story, and our last story for today. This one is called, Am I Overreacting or Is My Mailman Creepy? More creeps to suss out in here. My guess is you're not overreacting and your mailman is creepy. Because if you have to write a story like this to begin with, then it's probably because they're creepy. This will be long, so sorry in advance. I, 23-year-old female, live alone in a decently nice apartment in a nice neighborhood for 2 years now. For the most part, the mail gets delivered to the mailboxes at the front entrance of the building. Occasionally, packages are delivered straight to the apartment doors, and it's pretty convenient. Well, about a year ago, I was home from work during the day because I took the afternoon off to go to a doctor appointment. The doorbell rang, and I have a Ring camera. I saw it was the mailman, so I answered. I have this whole exchange on video. We would love to see that video, but it doesn't look like she provided it in here. He was maybe in his 30s, white, short, like 5'5"-ish, very large glasses, really disheveled thin hair. That's very descriptive. Good job. I opened the door, smiled, and said, "Thanks so much," and went to take the package. He stopped and stared at me like something was wrong, so I was like, "Oh, sorry, did you need to take a picture of the delivery or something?" And to my surprise, he said, "I know you. I've seen you before." And you can see on the camera my face changes. My body demeanor gets uncomfortable, and I move behind the door. I said, I'm sorry, I don't think we've met." I went to shut the door, but he raises his voice and takes a step forward and says, "I've seen your name on your mail. I found you on Instagram." Ooh, I'm giving myself chills. I gotta chill. Get it? I gotta chill. My face went white, and I froze. I said, "Me?" I was kind of like a deer in the headlights. He said, "Yeah, you're a person of interest on Instagram for me. Your account was private, but you're pretty." This guy is so weird. I said, "Thanks," and slammed the door, locking it quickly. Good job. I was happy to know I caught the whole thing on video. I showed it to my then boyfriend, who agreed it was weird. A few days later, on Saturday, he's back at my door. He rang the bell about 10 times, waiting a few minutes just staring. I answered him through the doorbell and said, "Hi, can you just leave my mail? Thanks." What he said next made me shake. He said, "I actually don't have any mail for you today. I just wanted to say hi. Can I come in for a glass of water?" I decided to just not answer. To be honest, I didn't know what to say. But then about 2 weeks go by. My then boyfriend stayed the night and slept in. I left early for work. I got a call around 10:30 from my boyfriend. I won't believe what just happened, and to check the camera. So her boyfriend is staying over and she left for work early. Her boyfriend calls her and says, "You will not believe what just happened. Check the camera." I do. The mailman came. He rang the bell a few times and my boyfriend answered the door. The mailman took a step back and my boyfriend stood for a moment and they stared at each other. He realized the mailman didn't have anything in his hands. He said, "Can I help you?" And the mailman said, "Where's this small girl who lives here?" I'm pretty petite. I'm slightly under 5 foot, 100 pounds. My boyfriend was stunned and said, "I live here too. From now on, leave our packages downstairs," and slammed the door. I was really happy he said that because truthfully, he didn't live with me full time, maybe 2 nights a week. Shout out to the boyfriend for at least saying something and telling him to leave the packages downstairs, even though he didn't even have one. It seemed to work. I didn't see the mailman again at all, actually. My then boyfriend and I broke up a few months ago. I completely forgot about the mailman until today. I was entering my building where he was exiting at the same time I was entering. He stared at me and I went to walk by. He turned to walk after me and said, "Hey, I haven't seen that guy in a while who used to live with you. Did he move out?" I panicked and walked faster, grabbing my keys, but I lied and said, "Oh, he's around." And as I entered quickly, I said, "Hey, honey, I'm home," and slammed it fast. I don't know why I lied, but something told me to make it clear I wasn't alone. That's really smart. Oh, that's amazing, actually. Am I being dramatic or mean? Or is he creepy? Definitely creepy. Not dramatic at all, and good for you for thinking quick on your feet and just saying what you said so he would go away and stop thinking that you were alone. For the most part, I don't understand how guys can be this weird. Like, what makes you think saying things like that, and the guy in the previous story too, what makes you think that saying things like that or doing things like that is going to get you any sort of attention or date or whatever your goal is? It's ridiculous. Oh, we have an update. I took everyone's advice, thank you all so much. I decided to reach out to the super of my apartment and explain the situation and show him the videos. He said he will implement a new policy that male personnel are not permitted to walk around the complex. Simply go to the designated mail room and leave. I also got large men's work boots and put them outside my door. Oh, so yeah, to show that there's a guy living there. Good. Some of the comments, you are right to be taking this extremely seriously. This kind of thing can escalate quickly, as we have seen before. I would report him to your local post office because that's also super unprofessional and certainly against their basic code of conduct. That's true. I didn't even think about that. If this guy works for the USPS, you can probably go and say, "Hey, my mailman, whoever you have on this route, has been harassing me, and I don't want that." Send him the Ring camera videos when you report him and request that he never deliver mail to your building again, or you will report him to the police for harassment. Also, make sure you have very secure locks on your door, maybe add an extra chain or deadbolt. You really don't want to take any chances with this, yeah. Especially if he keeps coming around and starts to not see this guy, your ex, that he's not around anymore. Who knows, he might just ignore the boots and it could just escalate from here. So yeah, I would take this a lot more seriously. OP says, "Thank you, I'm gonna wait now because I took the ideas everyone listed. If anything else happens, I'll call the cops, but I made my super aware. Gave him the videos, got man's boots to leave outside, and I'm gonna install another lock." Oh, but we have a second update. Wow, I wasn't expecting so many people to care about my story. Thank you, everyone. I took the advice, and everyone telling me this isn't acceptable and decided it was time to call the postmaster. So this is after what we read, or before what we read. I sent them the video recordings I had, and they assured me they will be looking into the matter as well as assigning a new mailman to my route. Exactly. I also made sure to go down to my local police precinct and file an incident report, and they have the videos as well. Thank you, everyone. Also, I'm flattered so many people are concerned, but I'm getting a lot of requests to post the videos. That was my first thing that I said in the beginning of this story. Considering I am in them and it shows my apartment and this is still ongoing, I prefer not to post them publicly yet. If anyone thinks they have experienced the same thing with him, please DM me. I'll send the videos privately, just not on the public forum. makes sense. We don't need to know who this person is. It would just be interesting to watch, but yeah, not something that should probably be shared here. That's gonna do it for the stories today. I hope you liked this format. Let me know what you think and what your thoughts are on any of these stories. Did I miss anything? Should these OPs have done anything differently? But for now, we'll see you next time.